Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Ambassador Updates for Quarter 2 and Quarter 3. Thank you all for sharing your emojis. That was hilarious. I loved it. Today, we're going to talk about a couple different updates. First of all, we're going to start off telling you about a worksite wellness conference that Maura and I were able to attend last month, and we talked a lot about how to increase engagement in wellness programming. So we're going to share with you some of the things that we learned that we thought were helpful. We're going to celebrate some of the accomplishments from ambassadors from the past quarter. And we also have a little bit of portal activity data to share with you, which is kind of cool to share what sorts of activities are engaging people. So that's fun to see. We'll give the update on wellness screenings and then look a little bit forward to Quarter 3 and a sneak peek into next year. So first of all, we're going to talk about our wellness summit that we went to in May. And one of the things that we talked about was this wellness model from Halbert Dunn, who we had not heard of before, but apparently he is the father of the modern wellness movement. If you've heard of him before, if you work in wellness, you can go ahead and give us a thumbs up, but we had not heard about him. So I'll tell you a little bit. He was a doctor who worked as a statistician, and he was one of the first people to separate being not sick from being really well. So you can see on his spectrum there, the horizontal axis has all the way at one end, you're dead, and then all the way at the other end, you have peak wellness, is what he called it. And before he came along and kind of made these distinctions, it was kind of like you were either sick or you weren't. But he was the first to say you can be not sick, but then there's a whole other level of being peak wellness. The other thing that he talked about was how this relates to your environment, because we all know that our environment plays a big role in our health. So as you're looking at this, kind of think about where you think that you and people in your workspaces are on this spectrum. I like to think that here in Vermont, with all of the access to recreation and outdoor activities and a state that cares about our health and well-being, I like to think that we live in a more favorable environment. However, a lot of us work desk jobs, and so that might be a little bit less favorable. So kind of think of where you fall on there. And then you can see the people who live in a very favorable environment and have peak wellness, they have what Halbert Dunn called high-level wellness, as opposed to somebody who lives in a favorable environment and has poor health, they would have protected poor health. So you can kind of see the different categories of people that live in each of these quadrants. And I will also say Halbert Dunn did his work back in the 50s and 60s, so it's not exactly, the ancient times. Okay, so we're going to come back to that in just a minute. The next idea is that wellness programming can be done to employees, for employees, or it can be done with employees or by employees. So what does that mean? Well, I'll give us a little bit of examples while we're looking at this little ladder here. So the first level is this inform level, and that is doing wellness to people. So that would be like if we saw a problem in our workspaces, like maybe we saw a lot of heart disease and we said, we know how we can help people. We'll give them some information on heart healthy eating. That would be doing things to people. The next one is consulting. So that would be doing things for a group of people. So that might be if an ambassador, one of you guys, or a supervisor came to us, the wellness team, and said, hey, we noticed there's a lot of stress and burnout going on. Would you please put together something to help us out? So that would be consulting and then us providing programming for them. The next one is with. So that would be involving the people that you are programming for. So that would be if we were holding some sort of movement break, and instead of us choosing all the activities, we would maybe go around the circle and have each person demonstrate one stretch that they really like, and then we all try them together. So that would be an example of doing it with or involving people. And then the last level, the top of that pyramid there, is doing it by the people who are receiving the programming, which is more of a collaborative effort. So an example of that actually happened recently amongst the ambassadors. There was a group of people who decided amongst their office that they wanted to start a lunchtime walking group. And so they amongst themselves organized and planned a walking group and started doing that regularly. So those are kind of the different levels. And the reason that's important is because each of the different levels of wellness or the categories of wellness, you can see have appropriate methods for them. So the people who have really terrible health and live in a terrible environment, it is most appropriate to do wellness to those people. However, for people who have more wellness or live in a good environment, it is more appropriate to do these programming by and with the people who you are doing the programming for. So when you see when we are doing programming with and by, then you see a lot higher levels of engagement. And that's where the ambassadors come in, because you are the ones who are the boots on the ground who can help us with the by and with, so we can see a lot higher engagement. Does anybody have any questions about that or any thoughts before we move on? If you have any ideas that come up after this meeting, you can feel free to email us. We're all ears. This is just kind of to start asking the questions and get the juices flowing. And if something comes later, you can feel free to let us know. So ponder this question in your mind, how we move from doing programming to and for our participants and in the direction of doing it with or by. And you don't have to answer that now, but just think about that a little bit. The other question is what we can do to increase your engagement. So how we can hand over the power to the ambassadors without making it a lot of work for you, because we know that you all do this in addition to your other work duties. We know this is technically like a volunteer on breaks working arrangement. So we're tossing around some ideas that we can do to increase your engagement. And one idea that we had was having some sort of in-person wellness summit for ambassadors. So think about that. And if you think you might be able or excited to attend an in-person ambassador meeting, send us a thumbs up if that sounds like something that would be fun, maybe with some training or some fun activities. We'll probably send out a survey in a couple of weeks to gauge interest and availability and location. But I'm seeing a lot of thumbs ups pop up, so that's really awesome. We really hope that we can make something like that happen. Yahoo! Thumbs ups all around. All right, and then the last thing that we wanted to share with you was this technique, this tool that we've learned about with the presenter that shared with us. Has anybody heard of this liberating structures before? Basically, it is a format to get conversations flowing. So there are a bunch of these different ways you can arrange conversations and arrange the room to get people to talk and share and collaborate. It can be helpful for wellness, but it can also be helpful for just regular problem solving in your jobs. So you can check out this link later. I think you can click on here.
You cannot. That's why.
Oh, you cannot? Yeah. Oh, thank you. Weird. So if you're interested in some ways to get conversations going and get some brainstorming flowing, this is a great tool that we just learned about. I just saw something in the chat about a hybrid model. Absolutely, Abigail, that's a great idea. I feel like we'd have to do that, right? In this day and age. But it's good to hear there's some interest in that. Okay, so that concludes our review of the Wellness Summit that we just attended. And now we're going to talk about the ways that we're already doing some of this with and by programming because of the things that ambassadors are doing. So first, I just want to put out the reminder that if you want to earn points for being an ambassador, you can fill out the survey. So if you can dig that up, that would be awesome, the link. If not, that's okay. It went out in an email to everybody. And the last day to fill out that survey to let us know what you did is Friday. I will say the survey is totally optional. It's only if you feel like you want to get points from your efforts for this quarter. And if anybody has any questions, because I know we do have a couple of new folks on here, welcome, by the way. If you have any questions about the point system, you can let us know. But basically, oh, I didn't update that number. We're more at like 20 surveys back so far. So that's good. And your points will come up next week before the quarter ends, just as another way to help you get to 100 points. Okay, so here are some of the awesome things that we saw in the survey. This ambassador got 100% of their team to come to the wellness screenings, which is very awesome. and then got some people to join the program and has even seen some results and some lifestyle changes. So that's very exciting. Big snaps to this person. This is a person who has a standing time in their staff meetings to talk about wellness. This is an awesome thing to do. So if you have the ability to talk about wellness in your meetings, you got your captive audience, you can show them what's going on. Here's somebody who has been planning little wellness activities before each staff meeting. I think that's a really great thing for ambassadors to do. And then on the right-hand side, one of the most helpful things that ambassadors do is helping people set up their portals. It seems so small, but it's so helpful. We have been sending out these monthly event calendars, and this person has been finding those helpful. So for an office where people are kind of running all over the place and not super into reading emails, printing and posting the calendars is a good way to get some of that conversation flowing around the water cooler. So here's word from somebody that printing the monthly event calendars has been impactful with their team. And then I think the last quote that I want to share is the most things that I've read in a long time. So this person started the walking group for their team. They give a presentation on rest and sleep, brain health, and social justice. They worked with management to implement a policy of taking your breaks, which is really awesome. They did a walk on National Walking Day. They promoted the corporate cup and started a community garden. Whew, this person was busy. So big snaps to this person. We are impressed with what you do. It's awesome when people go above and beyond like this. We love it, but don't feel like you have to do all of these things. But well done, this person. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about what sorts of things we saw people taking advantage of in the portal. And this is kind of interesting to see what activities have been popular for people. So this first little graph is showing that there's actually not a huge difference in each of the categories that we're offering this year. So we've got 5 areas around the wellness wheel that our portal is sorted into, and this number represents how many humans logged at least one activity in each of the sections. And you can see they're pretty even. The lowest one was vocation and the highest one was nutrition, but there's really not a big difference between all the different areas. So we thought that was interesting. The most completed things that people did in the portal, the number one thing that people are logging is being physically active for 30 minutes. That I think makes sense because a lot of people sync it up to their watch and then the points just pull in automatically. Getting a preventative exam or immunization was really popular. That could have been because we did so many wellness screenings. That's where we had people log those. Learning a new kitchen skill, walking 10,000 steps a day, and stop the scroll were all very popular. So those are the ones people are doing most. Now we're going to look at the ones people are doing the least. So it's not a big surprise that wellness coaching and being a wellness ambassador don't have that many people participating. That's to be expected. One of the other ones that I thought was interesting was so low in the bottom 5 was attend a work skills class or finance webinar. So we just want to remind people that if you take a class with CAPS or if you go to one of the Empower monthly webinars, you can count that for portal data as well. That's something that people might not have known. Okay, and then the next slide looks a little crazy. I'm not going to leave it up too long, but this is all of the things that were available in the portal. So you can see there's a pretty big difference between the top things that were popular and the bottom things that were popular. And again, all of these were just how many humans logged this at least once. So popular things were really popular. The bottom things were not very much logged. And then the middle things were pretty even. Good to see. All right, next we're talking about wellness screenings. Give us a thumbs up if you have come to see us for a wellness screening. Has anybody come? Yahoo! There we are. It was super fun traveling around and seeing everybody. We loved that. We are still going, but I was wondering if you wanted to guess how many screenings we have done across the state so far. So we've been doing these April. Wait, did we start? We started in April, right? No, March. We started in March, April, May, and June. Put your guess in the chat if you want to see if you can guess how many people we've seen. Anybody got a guess? Oh, Gail's a little optimistic. Stephanie guesses 240, 350, 650, 127, 500. Good guesses all around. 200, 125. This is a huge distribution of guesses. All right, looks like they have, oh, here, keep coming. 760. All right, before I put up the real number, I'm gonna give the disclaimer that this is somewhat approximate. We're not positive about the exact accuracy, but what I have so far is 547. Did anybody get that on the dot? Not quite. Looks like Alyssa was the closest. Good guesses, everybody. Woohoo! That was fun. So if you are in one of these remaining locations, we will be finishing up our circuit this summer in Montpelier, Waterbury, Rutland, and Berlin. The last one, 831 Montpelier, that's in the DMV building, 120 State Street. So if you're at any of those, spread the word. We're still out and about. All right, moving right along, looking forward. So Q3, our theme is power, and specifically what sorts of things we can do to feel more powerful in our bodies and also reduce aches and pains. So just as a little bit of a review, these are our themes. We have joy, energy, power, and then the last one is optimism. So we're heading to power for Q3. So here are the challenges we have coming up. The first one is a nutrition challenge, talking about eating more phytonutrients or those brightly colored plant foods. And they are known to reduce inflammation, so that will support our power. The next one is expand your exercise, which is talking about increasing movement. So perhaps you'll interpret that as doing some strengthening to increase your power. The third challenge is a positive thinking challenge, because positive thinking is very important and can make you feel powerful. It's called Power of Positivity. And the last one is Sweet Dreams, because it is impossible to be powerful unless you are able to recharge and rest with good sleep. Any questions about any of those challenges before we move on? All right. Corporate Cup. That was a while ago, but I also want to check and see if anybody has any questions or issues about reimbursement. So as far as I know, to date, we have reimbursed everybody who signed up. If anybody thinks they did not thinks that they did not get their reimbursement when they should have, please give us an email and we will look into it. Does anybody want to share how it went, or maybe give give us a thumbs up if you did the corporate cup. Oh, all right. Very fun. All right, and then our last piece of information today is that next year we are getting a new portal. So we're not able to announce yet what it will be, but we wanted to let you all know ahead of time, since the ambassadors are the ones who really do a lot of help with signing up people for new portals. Gail says again, and I say yes again. This is something that is unfortunately out of our control. It is a contract that's handled by Blue Cross. So we, like you, are just along for the ride with new portals. And we understand that it is a lot of work transitioning portals, especially once you all did so much help just, over the last 2 years of getting people signed up. We know it's a lot. So we are excited that it's going to be hopefully a good one. Some more details coming soon. And I believe that's all we've got for you today. But we'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or suggestions, we can hang out for a little bit and hear what is going on. Al, that's a good positive way to look at it. Yes, it is fun to learn new things. All right, well, thank you all so much. We really appreciate you. Yes, Gail, good point. So we're going to all increase our brain's learning power, which is a good wellness goal of how to use the new portal.
Looks like some people already have an attitude of gratitude this morning.
They're practicing the power of positivity. Mark, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, I got a question. I'm all new to this. I just started in April.
Awesome.
So I'm just getting started. I'm actually doing a walking meeting with my supervisor today, so
Super
that'll be
cool.
good. Um, just hard to get started, and there's so much coming at me with onboarding and everything else. I really like this. I'm just off to a little bit of a slow start, so I might be reaching out for some ideas and then trying to fit it in my schedule too. So. Might have a slow start, but I'm all about it. This is a great group, uh, so I'm excited about the whole thing. So might be reaching out with some questions here and there.
That would be great.
Yeah,
We're so appreciative of anything you do for wellness. Don't overtax yourself, and we are happy to help you however we can, and we're thrilled to have you.
yeah. I did the plant-based thing. I got my daughter just moved in with me, and she's vegetarian, so that worked out really well. And I'm on that track and everything. I did
Very
forget to
cool.
enter all my stuff, but that's all right.
You'll get it next time.
Yeah, yeah, but it's there's great stuff out there, great challenges and everything. So I'm just thank you all anyway, and I'll be a little more interactive in the future.
That's awesome. We're thrilled to have you, and if you ever want to chat, we're available too. All right. Well, have a good rest of the day, everybody, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you.